So I'm riding Sky here at the walk because I've kind of reassessed her and backed up a bit to where I'm mostly only lunging her for trotting. She seems to be able to lift her back a lot better at this point, I think because of her SI joint issues. So I'm walking her only under saddle right now, and when I'm walking her now riding, I'm thinking of riding with my leg and guiding with my hand. So my leg aid is always the first place I go. I'm trying to use my leg in a light tap to get her to step under herself. All the bending she's doing is coming from her inside hind leg. So it's my leg taps. If I don't get a response, then I go to a light tap with the whip, and then right here you can see she'll step under with her inside hind leg. That's what's going to lift her back. Then I use the reins almost as side reins to guide the energy that's coming over her back and out the front. So when I'm thinking of any kind of a circle, even though this is a large circle, it's coming from her inside leg into the outside rein. So I'm really not using my inside rein, I'm using my leg. As you can see, I let it go slack occasionally, but I don't let the outside rein go slack. It just stays a steady weight of rein. Now I soften her jaw off and on with the inside rein because she really needs that. I also, if you see me lifting my hands up, I'm trying to lift the bit up into the corner of her mouth like a shambone would. And it looks kind of silly, but you'll see I'll get behind the motion, bringing my shoulders way back as I lift the bit into the corner of her mouth, and then I'll take my heels and just sort of pluck as far under her as I can to lift her abdominal muscles. Now I have spurs on not because I dig into her or anything. I stay very light with my leg and I don't use my spur except for plucking, and that's just because of the length of my leg. I need that help. But I try to keep my leg aid very, very light and then reinforce with the whip if I need to. See here, I'm behind the motion with my shoulder. So it's really a skill that I've had to learn to, especially for her because she was so stiff, to use my hands very independently of my seat. As her back starts to really move, I have to let my hips just go with her, keep the leg, my inside leg on the girth, and open my outside hip so that that leg is almost an open door for her so that the energy can go out into the outside rein. So my shoulders are slightly turned into the circle, but my outside hip is a little farther open than my inside leg. And that just sort of opens the door, like I said, so the energy can come from her inside hind leg and fill the sail of her outside rein. Now, whenever she comes up with her neck, it's not about the neck, it's all about her haunches, but it makes her start pulling with her chest, so I try to keep that from happening by sending her forward. As soon as I see her start to come up, you'll see I'll send her forward with my leg. I'll use my inside leg, soften the jaw, and I had to go to the whip there a little bit too because she saw the long side and wanted to just brace and go straight. And you'll see it on that spot every time. So it's the inside leg first, send her forward, and then I lift the reins a little bit into the corner of her mouth. But as she comes up, I have to widen my hands there. The timing is important so that the reins never go slack. But at the same time, I'm not holding her back by pulling too much tension on the reins. It has to be very, very fluid for her. Work in hand, and she's learning how to, on the circle, to take Star over to the wall and then keep his haunches on the wall and bring his shoulders in with the outside rein. So she's going to do that along this next long side. This is really only her first time, and to practice teaching him to step under the whole way down the long side. And that requires your whip. You will have to touch him with your whip to keep right, keeping his haunches on the Perfect. On the long side. That's really good. Now she's going to do a shoulder in again along the long side, keeping the bend. And then now her whip will keep his haunches on the wall. That's pretty challenging, but that looks really good. Look how he's stepping under. And then give him the reins, because that's going to make him stretch by lifting his back. So you always have to have give in your reins, because he's naturally going to stretch once he relaxes a little. This is really, really good work in hand, because she's not just walking with him. She's helping him step under his body with that inside hind. We're going to do another shoulder 4 here at the next long side. So she keeps the bend in his body, goes around the corner, lets his shoulders come in with the outside rein, and then the whip keeps the haunches along the wall. Use your whip. Yes. Good. Really good. This was Bianca's first time really kicking it up a notch. I was explaining to Bianca that although he's had bad experiences with the whip, the answer isn't to not use the whip. The answer is to use the whip in a fair manner and to teach him that it is an aid and not a punishment, because he can relearn that. Backing down doesn't really help a horse, but teaching them that you're going to be fair with them does heal. On this side, Bianca was having some trouble because he's weak in his inside hind, so he's really wanting to push his shoulder into her. And I was explaining to her that what she has to do is just really flex that inside rein to take that shoulder away, so that, and she's going to do it right here, so that he can work on strengthening that inside hind leg. And then she won't have to do that forever, but she's helping him, and that's beautiful. What you're seeing right here is really good for Star. This is only really Bianca's second time doing work in hand, too. Well done. So when you get to this side, keep the bend. His shoulders will come in and his haunches will go down the long side, and you'll need to use your whip for that. There you go. Just keep his haunches along. There you go. There's some stepping under. And then let him stretch right into it, because it's going to make him stretch just naturally. And so you'll have to give the reins when that energy wants to come through. You just give the reins and let him go on down there. So we're here with Bianca and Star today, and we are working on taking the next step with Star, which really is working on keeping the line, the contact in the lunge line, perfectly straight as a weight of rein. That really helps his jaw stay nice and soft. And Bianca's working on keeping his haunches out on the same circle as the shoulder, which requires him to step under his body enough to lift his back, which is what's pushing the energy out his neck. So Bianca, let's see if you can just gently activate him with a cluck or something that won't make him tense up, but just to sort of push those haunches forward into his body a little more, so that he will engage his hind end underneath his body. The trot has to have enough activity, if you can get it without tension, to push the back up with the hind end. Well, one thing about these saddles, this is Jean's first ride in a Peter Horobin saddle, so I have to explain to her. They sit you much closer to the withers. You're really, and that's good, but it's a new feeling for sure. But that's the strongest part of his back, and it's the best place for your weight to be. It's also easier to use your leg, because if you look at yourself in this video, you'll see that your heel is directly under your hip right now. And your shoulder, you have a very nice alignment. So when you're farther forward like that, there's no strain on his back. And when you go to use your leg, you're going to take your leg off and bring it on in touch and get out of there again. Okay. And it's just a light, always ask with the amount of lightness that you wish you could have. Okay. Not what you know darn well what it's going to take, but you always give him the chance for lightness.
You don't go heavier with your leg, contrary to what we've both been taught in the past. You go, the whip is how you teach lightness of leg. So you don't then, if he doesn't listen to that, then you're going to do heavier leg, heavier, or you're not, and you're also not going to hold your leg on and lean, because that just puts you out of balance and creates a dull horse. It's just you move the inside of your calf off of him, you touch. If he doesn't do it, you could try one more, and then you tap with your whip, so that your leg never becomes the bad guy. It's not by bad guy, you know what I mean. It's not punishment anyway. But you look great up there. The posture looks amazing. So, you're now going to do, he's going to poop right now, but maybe he's not. You're now going to do the exact same thing you were just doing. So now you have a leg, and you'll use it the way I just described. If that doesn't work, you will back it up with your whip. But that's where your leg is. Your outside rein has a nice consistent, don't let him slow down, a nice consistent weight of rein. Your inside, if you're going in a straight line, your reins would be the same. They would both have the weight of rein and be straight like this. But if you're going in a circle, you have an outside rein and an inside rein. And they have a different purpose. Your outside rein, again, is where his inside hind leg steps in and sails into that consistent outside rein. Your inside rein you can soften in a give and take, but it's not where you're not sending him into that. Okay. So the first thing we want to do is get him active. Okay. That's our new thing now. There's no point in doing anything yet because you have no energy to shake. So that's all you're going to worry about right now, is getting him nice and active. Because it made a huge difference in the quality of his work when you did that in hand, so it definitely will here too. Yep, that's more active. So you want to activate your walk by alternating your leg taps. He's going to go to the bathroom. The way to activate the walk is as his rib cage swings from side to side, you tap alternately with your leg. And then that way it's something different than when you're going to ask for the trot, which would be in both legs, you know. So it's an alternating leg, and just keep doing it until he activates, and then stop doing it. And if he doesn't listen to that, then you can use your whip. But he has to learn. He doesn't even know that he's supposed to get active. So let's first work on that today. You just activating his walk. And then, of course, tell him when he does it right. Not your heel, inside of your calf. It's a tap. It's like the way you kick a soccer ball, but I'm not saying kick him. But it's like you come off, you tap, and you're gone again. And then he really feels something, and then it's not there. Sort of like the way I said that whip. If you just lay the whole thing on him, it's a dull. But if you're back and you come away and you kind of twist your wrist, it's there and it's gone again. Okay? Now, more active than that.
I've been so leery of asking for too much when I'm on him.
No, you're good.
Because the weight and everything.
No, the saddle is, I will say, this saddle has all of your weight is in a much better place on his back. You're farther, all of it is farther forward, and I'll show you afterwards if you want on his back. You're in a good place. I'd have to see you in your saddle, but I don't think you have to worry about it today. You can get a nice active walk on him today. That's not putting any strain on him. It's a huge difference, actually, where you're sitting.
Mm-hmm. It feels, that's why I said it really felt different.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And
I lost my thoughts.
you both will like it. So you're just going to get active. Try to keep your upper body straight and tall. You don't have to swing your hips around and stuff. Just stay nice and really tall. Now that's looking better. That's looking better. You could almost get your shoulders behind the motion a little bit, but it's not. You know, you don't have to if he's going well. There you go. And now you really feel like you're riding off the top edge of a cliff because you're way up there. So don't slow down when he's stretching. You can tell him he's good. That's great, but he has to stay active. So more than that. There you go. Keep tapping him. Good boy. He will figure it out, Gene. He will figure out that he can stretch and be active.
Okay.
This is all brand new. You have never asked this. That's really good. Keep going. Yeah, more active, more active, more active. He can do it. You don't have to go in such a small circle.
This is what happens when you evolve.
Well, that's you devolving, not him.
Well, let me ask you a question then.
Don't
What
stop.
happens, I'm fine when we're moving, when he's only like halfway down. But as soon as he goes down to a full stretch, it's like he falls to his inside shoulder and I can't keep him out. I'm not sure, well, let me put it this way. I don't know how to keep him out.
What are you trying?
I've tried putting, I've tried using this as a leading rein to keep him, and it helps somewhat, but I feel like I'm yanking him around.
Yeah.
And then he starts to bend the wrong way.
Right, because you're trying to do it from the front. And the steering, all of those, the problem when the shoulder falls in is the inside hind leg is not stepping under.
Okay.
That is what's happening and why your circle's getting smaller and why it feels like he's leaning in on his shoulder, which is why you don't ever need to think about straightness training. Once you can get them over their backs, it'll just be there.
Okay.
So you needed to do leg. If you didn't listen to the leg, you needed to do your whip and get him off of you, get him to move off of your leg and get his haunches out, and it'll all, I promise you, it will disappear.
Okay.
So that's always
That does
where it
make
comes
sense,
from.
yeah.
That's where it comes from. So let's try it again, only make the circle bigger. If he starts to come in, it means you're not using your leg.
Maybe not so better.
All righty. So let's just think about activities. Get yourself up nice and tall. Yes. There you go. There you go. That's a better walk. It's a better walk. Now, right now, his haunches are on the inside of his shoulder, so you've got to get his haunches out. So you put the inside of your calf away from him, then you come back and touch him with it once or twice. And if he doesn't respond to that, then you back it up with your whip. It's just a very light leg. If you don't get something, you need to use your whip then, because people think that's being harsh, but you're training him for lightness that way. That's what you want. Good, now go. Good, that was better. That's better. See, do you feel like he's a little better as far as that shoulder goes? Good. They can get really strong, and you're positive it's the shoulder, but you get after that inside hind leg, and you'll be amazed. So it's your leg, then it's the whip, and it's also forward. We got to get him going again. Part of this also is when he starts coasting, and he doesn't have any impulsion. I mean, you don't have impulsion. Right, not impulsion in the walk, but activity. Steam, that's good. Now keep him going. That's so much better, Gene. So try not to swing yourself from side to side like that so much. Think tall and straight more. Yeah, go. Yes. And you don't need to look down either. There you go. He's there, I promise. He's not going anywhere. So you cut off this whole side of the circle there.
I know.
So when you do working hand in a circle, keep going. Keep going. When you do working hand in a circle, it's like every step is a leg. Unless you want to do that every single time. There you go. See how the body's getting better? like crazy every single time. Don't ever do it. It's better to let your whip, now go, go. Yes, yes, yes. Keep him moving. Don't let him stall out on you. He's stalling. He just doesn't know yet, that's all.
Sorry.
I'm telling you this, so this is what you can be working on until our next time.
Okay.
That's just, you won't, it's just, you have to keep it in your mind, because if you start getting like, oh, la-di-da-di-da, he's going to get la-di-da-di-da. And the quality goes down then, because you don't have the energy to shape. But that's the best I've ever seen you in a saddle. You look the best I've ever seen. You got to get a little straighter though. Don't do this thing with your shoulders.
Am I still, okay.
Like get up really nice and tall. Yeah. Okay, use your leg now because the circle's getting smaller, which means he's not stepping under. Right. Get one really good circle this way. Active, active, active stepping under, and then let's change direction. Because I still want to do leg yields while we still have a horse. Good. Get the haunches out a bit. The whole point of working in him was it taught him to move away from your leg. The whip was your leg, and now you're going to do the exact same thing. Yeah, you don't want to have your hands back at your legs. They pretty much never need to go back there. They're always out in front of you. Yes, go, go, go. You're coasting. Even if it cuts your ride in half, it's better to have a good active walk. Get the haunches out right here. Yes, with one tap, two taps, then the whip. Then the whip. Yes. That's a really nice active walk there. Let's change direction. That was beautiful. He's going to really change before your eyes if you do this, Gene. He's going to really start developing even, I mean, he already is developed, but he's at the point where unless you ask a little more, he won't keep developing. Oh. Yeah.
Okay, this is our really bad.
Okay.
So,
Well, you tell me when you're ready. I know you like to do a little bit to get him accustomed to things. All the things you're doing with your reins right now are instead of where you should be doing it. Right.
I'm trying.
I know. But you're not using your whip at all. And you shouldn't keep going with your leg. It's a little leg. That didn't work. And so you just keep doing leg and you should be doing the whips. So go much bigger. Go a much bigger circle. And don't be afraid to use your whip to get the haunches out. Think active. Activity will actually make it easier for him. Yep. Yep. There you go. Now keep going. Don't pull your hands back. Keep your hands in front of you. Keep your hands in front of you. There you go. Don't even worry about the front right now. Doesn't even matter right now. Just having him active. If you tapped twice, now you use the whip. Yeah, go. Use the whip to get him out there. You know, like, mean it. Be a bossy mommy if you have to for a minute. He knows you love him. There you go. That's what he needs. There you go. So then you go back to, stop doing your leg every single step like that. And then you go back to, unless you were doing that to activate him.
Yeah, well, no,
Okay.
I was doing it to keep him out.
Well, if you're trying to keep him out, then you tap twice. If it's not working, use your whip and get him out.
Okay.
Don't be afraid. You can do it. He's not going to do anything. You know, Glad. Leg, now whip, get the haunches out. Right. Keep your hands in front of you. I think that's nothing like what you were doing in hand. There you go. Now go. Yep. Keep going. Nice and big. He's got to get his haunches out. That's why it's getting so small. Look at you. You're getting a response. And then you tell him he's a good boy. Yeah, forget the reins right now. All we're doing right now, except for don't put your hands back. Right now, you're just getting him active, which it looks like you're succeeding. And now, that time you went all the way over to the rail.
Mm-hmm.
So that tells you he's stepping under right now. So keep him going. It's really good, and come all the way over here now. Look at that. That looks really good. Yep. Don't worry about your reins right now. You're doing fine. Now that was much better. He has to step under a little bit each step to get that circle. That was really nice, Gene. Okay. So you didn't have to do anything with your reins, did you? No.
I kept this just as a...
Get your hands in front of you. You're giving him a backwards tension and you don't even realize it.
Really?
Yeah. Anytime your hands are back there, all that does is gets him to like brace. They need to be up here or in front of you at least. Let's try one more active, really big circle and then we'll talk about leg yields. So the activity is much better than I've seen you do before. Keep your hands in front of you. This is a pretty darn good walk for Glad. Good with the whip, Jean. You're really doing it. Right here, his haunches are coming in a bit, so that's why your circle's about to shrink. There, good. That was a good, that was really good. That's what you have to do. Go. Good. All right, so you keep walking. I'm going to talk to you about this leg.
Okay.
Can you go around the whole thing? Is he good with that?
He can try.
Okay, well, even if you just go past this jump and come around, that's fine too. What I'd like you to do is turn, when you come around towards us, turn on the border line. And then I don't want you to do it with your reins. I want you to send him over with your leg or the whip. So as soon as you start turning, it's only going to be a few steps, like way down at the border line. Yeah, right? As you're bending right here, now use your leg. Right. You have the whole way down to get there. Just take your time, and you have the whole length to get to the river, or wherever you want to go. Look up, look forward. We're going that way.
I know. My reins are too long.
Go over. Okay, we'll try it again.
Try it again.
Come around and try it again. Don't worry about your reins. We don't care about them right now. That was good and active too. So right as you feel like he's kind of bent at that turn, that's when you add your leg and keep that bend and just send him over to the wall. But you're looking in front of you, out in front, straight in front. And you have the whole length of the ring to get there, so it doesn't have to be too steep. If you first ask for a leg yield on a horse who has never done one, if you do too steep of an angle, they'll slow down and lose their rhythm, and it doesn't have any benefit whatsoever. So turn with your leg right here, and just take your time now. Just use your leg and your whip. If it doesn't work, the leg doesn't work, use the whip. Just like when you're doing a circle, right? Move him off your leg with the whip. With the whip. That's okay. That's okay. Let's do it again, only not even the quarter line. Okay. Start with your leg first. But if you don't get anything, you're not asking something that's too hard. It's always fair to say, if you don't get an answer, well, am I asking something he can't do? That's always the first thing. But he can do a tiny leg yield now that he has this whole long side to make. If you're getting nothing, then you have to show him what you want with the whip. It won't stay that way, but we know he can do this because we've seen him do it on a circle. Oh, I'm so cold. Wow. So keep your activity. It always is going to be easier that way. Don't be afraid. Okay, so if you ask with your leg right now, and he gets something there, he stepped under. Good. That's good.
It just changed to 4.
There. That was really good, Jean. Do a little more, but look up. Look up. Yeah. Get in there with that whip. You're going, hey, 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 hey. Just one time. Get in, get out. Like I said, go. I said, move off this. And then stop. You're actually being nicer to him, to be bigger with the whip for a quick thing to get your message across than you are to just tap, 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 tap and bug him and nag him, you know. It's better to get in and really get his attention and get out. And you know I'm not talking about being mean. One more time. And then we'll do it the other side. Get nice and active. He just looks like a different horse, Jean. Nice and active. Keeping your hands in front of you. There you go. Yes, that's where you started. Look, that's really good. Okay, that was really good. That was good. Okay. They are supposed to lead with the shoulder a little bit, but I saw you get a step or two there.
Okay.
And that's how it starts. You don't ask again because you got something. Then the next time you'll ask it again and you'll start getting it farther away from the wall and requiring more stepping under. Let's change direction. That was really good. You're getting a nice activity in this walk. It's really, really, really good to see him walking like this. Yep. Don't slow down when he does that. Everything's different now. We stay active all the time now. Even if it makes the session shorter. We're going for that we're upping the quality of everything. So when you get down here, you're going to turn in the quarter line. And did you feel what you did down there was his natural bend, when he was at the most bendiest? Yes. That's when you sent your leg, and that helps him.
I felt that this time. Yeah.
So stay active. Gotta go. And just like you're going to turn, and then just sail on over there. Turn, and then just start using your leg. Now, his leg, and then go in there with that whip and let him know. Yep. More than that, let him know. Come on, you're going to do it. And the reason I'm not talking about the reins yet is because it's a leg yield. It's not a rein yield. There are things we're going to do with the reins. We're going to flex him slightly to the inside. But right now, I just want you to get an answer to your leg. So I'll come with you on this side now. I like you in this side a lot.
And you do.
I would start over, so you can start it as you turn around the corner. And that natural amount of bend that he has, that's when you just continue with your leg to tap and send him over. If you don't get an answer, then you ask again. If you still don't get an answer, then it's a loud answer. You know what I mean by that? It's a loud answer. And then you take it away again. So get him good and active. You have to have that activity. Get up really tall yourself. You don't have to swing around so much. Now turn and use your leg and just go over there. Right? Look straight ahead. Yes. More. Good. Yep. Yep. If he's not answering, then you have to really let him know. Yes. And then that was good. You got it. You got him to get off of your leg a little bit, and that's really good. He's not going to choose to do that because it's hard. But it'll get easier and easier for him. That was a really good one, that last one. It was very good. Okay, cool.
He brings his foreleg out. His scapula slides back like this. And quite a ways, if you took his leg and put it out there, if you had an extra person, you would see this right here will come back to about here. So it needs a lot of movement to slide back. The other thing about the shoulder blade is this top section here is not bone, it's cartilage. So if you have a steel tree up to a saddle right here that is too tight, and this shoulder blade is trying to slide under, every time he takes a step, cartilage is hitting steel. This cartilage can actually chip, and it doesn't grow back. So what's going to break, steel or the horse? It's always the horse. So that's why we need to make sure we have a shoulder angle that allows for his shoulder blade to slide under. You'll notice if the saddle is tight here, he'll be short-strided like this, because if somebody's jamming him in the shoulder blade every time he takes a step, and then as soon as you can fit a saddle so that he can slide under, all of a sudden you see a real dramatic difference that his shoulders are so much freer. That's one of the most important things about a saddle. So you should be able to slide your hand right under where you know his shoulder blade is going to need to go under a saddle. That's the length of the saddle. Super important. So what we have to do is find, these are his thoracic vertebrae, this part of his spine. There becomes a point where the ribs stop and the thoracic vertebrae stop, and now you have the lumbar vertebrae. And the reason that's an important demarcation is because the vertebrae in the lumbar region completely change shape from the vertebrae. These vertebrae all have ribs attached to them, so it's a real nice sturdy area for your saddle. Once you get behind that last 18th vertebrae, hi baby, hello, do you agree? He's like, I keep telling her. The vertebrae change in their shape like this, and they don't have ribs. They have these very fine pieces of bone, wings, that are quite fragile and actually sometimes stick up a little higher. Okay. So they don't want weight on here. Another thing is you get the kidneys right here, and certainly if it's a mare, you'll have the ovaries. Right. So I'm going to show you how to find that last thoracic vertebrae so that you'll know that you never want a saddle to go beyond that. Okay. So one way we can do it is we'll feel for his ribs. I'm going to tickle you a little bit here. We're going to find this last rib. Kind of hard to feel on you. Finding it. It's going to curve up like this. It's going to disappear under this big longissimus muscle, this thick muscle. But I'm going to keep the curve anyway, and it'll end up connecting right about there. So that would be where your last thoracic vertebrae is, because that's where your last rib is. Now, another way to find that last thoracic vertebrae that's really easy for you is, and I don't even know why this works, but it always does. Find where the two hair directions come together. I'm really tickling him. Start. I think I'm tickling him. Yeah? You're okay. I have to stop tickling you. And if you were to draw, draw lines, excuse me, and follow that line where the hairs come together straight up, that will also get you to that last thoracic vertebrae. So whenever you look at a horse, if the saddle goes beyond there, this is what we call the bucking zone. Because if there's a saddle on there, they want to get it off. They want to get that off. It's very uncomfortable. Not to mention, let's say you're trying to canter, he can't round his back and lift up his back to even get into the canter. So if you notice a horse is having trouble getting into the canter, or they're forebeating in the canter, or they don't want to canter, or they suddenly want to get you off, first look at your saddle length. That's very key. So that's a quick, easy way you'll always be able to tell the length of the saddle. I wanted to show you this saddle fit device that we use when we do a saddle fit evaluation, because it's really cool. It gives me 11 precise measurements of the particular horse's back. So from side to side can be different as you go down, the angle of the top line, and I've already fitted this to this horse, but I'll show you what it looks like anyway. So these fit up against the sides and show me exactly the shape of his back as well as the top line. And what this is valuable for is, as you go through your training, you can see the progress in your horse. You can see issues being solved. You have exact measurements for seeing the development of the top line. And let's say you want a Peter Horben saddle at some point, but you just really want blue stitching, or like I needed a short panel, a short flap, I mean. So you need to order one. So we take these Saddle Tech measurements and then give them to Peter Horben Saddlery, who also has one of these, and he will match up these measurements and these measurements, as you can see, and then take this replica of your horse's back and adjust the panels of the saddle you're ordering to fit your horse exactly. this saddle isn't adjusted to this, but it will give you an idea of how they do it. So it's very cool. And the question was, what makes a Peter Horobin saddle adjustable and a Schlese compared to a lot of the other saddles we have around? And I'm going to show you, this is a Peter Horobin stride-free tree. So this is what goes in every saddle, and it's this material that it's made out of that creates the adjustability. The saddle brand that you asked me about, and many others, this would all be made out of laminated beechwood. So that would give you an idea of how adjustable that would be compared to this. There's a video online where Peter Horobin takes a giant truck and drives right over the stride-free tree and flattens it like a pancake. He brings it inside and puts it in this machine and restores the shape. And it keeps that. He even restored this really nice bell. This bell shape right here is what makes this saddle so great for so many different shapes of horses too. So it's not easy to adjust it, so you don't have to worry that it's going to change shape from you riding or regular use. It takes this hydraulic machine to adjust it. But I'll show you how we would adjust the tree. So let's say we wanted to make this tree narrower. We would put it in this machine. This is a Peter Horobin saddle, and that tree that I just showed you is right in there. It looks like you can see the shape. So every Horobin saddle has that tree in it. So we would put the saddle in here. Then I would pump it up with hydraulic pumps down here, and these very carefully, and these rolls would roll along the shape and bring it in on both sides without changing the shape. It's not like it's in one spot just pushing and it rolls down and the whole tree just gets narrower. And you can go all the way to very, very narrow, and you can go up to extra wide. And what's nice is that you can use the same saddle for future horses. As long as the length is okay, that's the only thing we can't really change. So if I want to go wider, I put this attachment on and I adjust it this way. And it goes in like this. And those rollers are on either side here, and they roll out, spreading it out, but keeping the shape because it's rolling. And that's what we love about these saddles. So I hope that answers your question.